I think it's probably pretty safe to say that a lot of you at home will agree with this statement alone, that golf instruction is a lot like politics right now. It is all over the map. It's so funny, I just had one of my best friends send me a video the other day of Tiger Woods in a text message. In fact, you know what? Let's roll the clip.
You would give an amateur if he or she wanted to just improve their game. Don't watch YouTube. Okay. What's the second one that's all balls?
Don't watch YouTube.
Don't hit balls.
Did you just hear what Tiger Woods just said about golf instruction and where we get our information from? I bet you a lot of money you can't guess what my response was. My response was, he's right. We still have a very, very large amount of golf instruction that exists to this day that tells you at home it's a great idea to keep your shoulders or keep your torso, or keep your thorax moving through the point of contact all the way to finish. When in fact, that's the worst bit of information that you can get. That's not exactly what's really happening in golf swings that produce real clubhead speed. There is a deceleration process that has to take place in order for your hands and your arms and the golf club to become independent from the body so that you can transfer speed to where it matters the most, down here at impact. And if you actively turn your body through the hitting area, you're going to be delaying that process immensely. But you're also going to be doing one other very important thing that you don't hear a lot of people talk about, even though some people are self-proclaimed biomechanists, is when you do this and you're actively turning your body through the point of contact, that force that you're creating and you're generating with really, really big amounts of torque in your upper body, you're putting your body in harm's way. And that's what puts a lot of people on the sidelines. You got it? So guess what we're going to do today? I'm going to be teaching you a step-by-step process on how to introduce speed efficiently back into your golf swing so that you can swing the golf club and not feel tired at the end of your rounds of golf, and so that you don't have to worry about when you leave the driving range or the golf course that your back is going to be hurting you, because your spine hates two things. It hates shear force and it hates compression. So stop buying into the idea that you need to keep your shoulders turning and your chest turning through the hitting area. So today I'm going to be walking you through the reason why we don't do that, but more importantly, I'm going to show you a drill that's going to help you build the golf swing that you were supposed to have from Jump Street. You got it? Okay, good. Let's get to work. All right, so the time has come for us to all sit around a campfire and sing Kumbaya with one another. And we're going to talk a little bit about an analogy that we're going to use virtually this entire video, okay? And I'm going to talk to you about this stuff because it's important for you to understand what we're going to be working to try to achieve. Now, when it comes to clubhead speed, I want you to think about your body and your golf swing as being two very separate systems. The first system is going to be your big one. It's going to be your entire body, everything except for your hands and your arms. The second system, the smaller of the two systems, is going to be your hands and your arms. Now, what we're going to be ultimately trying to achieve is we want a system that's working very efficiently. We want a system that's going to help us produce a lot of clubhead speed, but we also want a system that's going to make sure that we don't get hurt over the long haul. Now, we understand that because we've been able to dive further into the golf swing with all of the best players in the world, both men and women, we can look at exactly how their body's moving, we can look at the loading and the firing orders. We understand that there's many different forces that take place. We've got horizontal force, we've got rotational force, okay, or torque, we've got vertical force. Those three forces are never the same when it comes to how people transfer energy. It's a balancing act. The same thing applies to when we talk about the golf swing and how we produce speed through your width and through your body rotation and through leverage. Again, that's a balancing act. And so as a golf instructor, it's our responsibility to look at the equation that you bring to the table and say, okay, what can this student benefit from in order to be able to make more clubhead speed, but do it in a way that's not going to ultimately hurt their body. Now, one of the big golf instruction myths that I want to debunk here very quickly, and I'm going to explain this to you in kind of broken down terminology, is I want you to understand that we're going to try to produce a lot of clubhead speed, upwards of 100, 110, 115, 120 miles an hour clubhead speed with our driver. And with our irons, we still want to be able to produce a fair amount of speed as well. So if I'm thinking about trying to produce 100 miles an hour of clubhead speed, we're just going to use that as our benchmark, right? And I'm going to be trying to do that with my system being my arms and my body working together as one system the entire way to finish. What I want you to remember is that if I did that, where my arms and my body are working as one system, and I try to turn my body back and forth, and I'm trying to produce 100 miles an hour clubhead speed, how hard do you think I'm gonna have to work in the world of rotation in order to be able to produce that 100 miles an hour of clubhead speed. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna have to work really hard. And the other side of this is that when you're working really hard with body turn, then you're also doing one thing that your spine hates. Your spine does not like shear force and compression. And that active turn through the golf swing is going to start putting a lot of load to your spine. Now, listen, when it comes to swinging the golf club, the body's going through a lot of stress. It's not gonna ever be 100% safe across the board because of the forces that are taking place. But you can build a golf swing that has efficient and safety built into it so that you don't have to worry about going to the golf course or the driving range and wondering if you're going to hurt your back or hurt your knee or hurt your hip. Okay, so you guys are gonna love today's drill because it was inspired by quite a few things, and I like to geek out when it comes to the golf swing, and I like to study various people and how they learn to take on this sport. And one of the most fascinating things for me to watch when it comes to the game of golf is children and professional athletes. Professional athletes are fun because when they're playing another sport like basketball or hockey, and I've had the luxury of being able to work with some NBA players and some hockey players, is they don't necessarily look like golfers right out of the gate, but you can generally get them to tap into movement patterns that are athletic and get them to move the club in space pretty nicely. I also find that professional athletes are generally a little bit more stubborn when it comes to making real changes because they're already very set in their movement patterns and they want to still continue to feel athletic where they're swinging the golf club. But you can fix them just like you can fix, people that are way up there in their years, or even you can fix children when they're really plastic. Now, the reason why I like to watch children, because I have a son who's 4 years old, and you give him a golf club or a bat, and you know that he wants to get that thing going really fast, but he doesn't have enough strength in his hands and his arms to be able to do so. So you start seeing them at a subconscious level start to figure out how to get their hands and arms to go faster. They start using their legs and their hips. It's fascinating to me. And so the other thing that stood out to me that inspired this drill was something that John Rahm did with his coach. John Rahm actually used to do what we call a short to long drill, where he made some really, really short backswings, even shorter than what he swings the golf club now, and figured out how to be able to produce speed from that small spot. And the reason why I love that sort of mentality is because it teaches you how to use the legs and the hips. It teaches you how to use ground force. And you start figuring things out, and you start figuring out easier ways for you to be able to move the club in space. And so that's exactly what we're going to be working towards today, is sort of that short to long sort of drill format. Now, before we do that though, is I want to kind of break down what the objective here is, okay? And understanding that when it comes down to kinematic sequence, there's going to be a very quick acceleration and a deceleration of the body in a very particular order. It's going to start with the pelvis, it's going to come up through the thorax, it's going to come out through the hands and the arms, and then into the golf club. So how I like to give you the starting point to this drill is I like you to get into a good setup position, and I like for you just to do some lead arm only swings from a soft impact position. Now what I mean by soft or light is I don't want you being in this position where your hips are ripped open 45 degrees and your shoulders are nice and square and you got a lot of lateral side bend. It's not a position that you can sustain for long periods of time. So a light impact position is just basically, if you go into a static address position, shift your hips to where 80% of your weight's underneath your lead foot, open your hips up 5-10 degrees or so, and make sure that your shoulder line is perfectly square to your target line. And all I want you to do is take your lead arm and just let it hang underneath you freely. And I want you to swing this arm back and forth like a grandfather clock, just nice and relaxed. Okay, back and forth. That right there is going to be the movement that you're going to be trying to achieve. Now, thinking about this movement specifically, if I wanted my arm to go faster from one side of the body to the other, but I didn't want to use brute force arm strength or lots of muscle tension in my shoulder, how would I make this arm start to go faster? Well, I would start to introduce some weight shift and some body turn. And if I kept my arm moving at that same speed and I started adding the actual big system movements in the mix, now you can start to see that I'm going to start propelling my hand and arm really fast. So your objective here today is at the point of contact, what we're going to be trying to do is we're going to be trying to get the hips to slow down and stall as much as possible. We're going to try to get the shoulders and the torso to feel like they are perfectly square, and we're going to allow the hands and the arms to start to become independent as we get long into extension and then into finish. Now, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I want you to train this stuff, and we're going to be very disciplined, and we're going to make sure that we're checking positions along the way. So we're going to take our setup, we're going to have a golf ball present. It's going to be off of the logo on our chest. I've got my trail arm behind my back, and I'm going to preset myself where my hips are open about 45 degrees. My shoulders are nice and square. I've got my lead side of my body perfectly in line. And from this position, what I'm going to do is do some small reps where I swing my lead arm back to long. And I'm going to do this just for a minute while I create awareness of my arm, my small system, moving independently from my big system. Okay? Now what I want you to do is once you have some awareness of that position, what we're going to start working through here is moving to it and through it. Now how I like to do this is we're not going to do lead arm only swings. We're going to do it with both hands on the club. But our trail hand is going to be coming off the golf club where the point of contact would be taking place. And we're going to do it a little bit slow and choppy at first. So from an address position, what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and take a little shift onto your trail foot, and I want you to turn your body back so that you're just above a takeaway position, almost to 9 o'clock. From this spot, what I want you to do is I want you to shift your hips back over to your lead side and open them up 45, and you notice that my hands and arms came down with it. My shoulders are square. What is the arm going to be doing through this position? Well, it's going to be swinging through. Notice how my trail hand came off the club. So what it's actually going to look like when you're doing it at home is it's going to look a little slow and choppy at first. Okay? You're checking to make sure your body positions are perfect. You're being disciplined. Okay? And you want to be able to get to a point where you can do this as one fluid movement, just like I did. Short swing to long, trail hand coming off the club, body stalling. Okay? Once you can do that proficiently, now we're going to teach the trail hand, the trail arm, and the trail shoulder what it should be feeling when it's doing this, okay, when it's following along. Now, a focus point for you, because most of you are going to overuse the trail hand and arm and shoulder in your golf swing, is I want you to feel like this is more or less a passive conduit that's helping you transfer energy from your body. I don't want you to use it for now when you're working on a drill of this nature. What I want you to do is I want your trail hand and arm to stay on the golf club and follow the lead arm all the way to 3 o'clock. But when it does this, you're going to feel like the trail arm almost adds drag to the mix, like it slows the lead arm down. Think about keeping that left arm moving through the position. And the focus point that I want you to use while you're training your shoulder and your trail arm and hand how to function properly is that as the arms start to work past your body, I want you to feel like your buttons on your shirt stay back in behind your belt buckle. That's the only reference point that I want you to use here. So how it's going to look is the same way, but I'm keeping the buttons back, letting my trail hand follow all the way through to 3 o'clock. Okay, so little small swings going back, keeping the buttons back, making sure that I'm shifting my hips, okay, getting all the way through to that 3 o'clock position. Okay, now, to finish off the drill, I want you to go short to long, but I now want you to start to rotate up onto your right toe into a finish position. And then once we do this proficiently, then we can start hitting golf balls. Okay? Okay? Keep the lead arm moving all the way to 3 o'clock. Let the trail hand and arm move through with it. Keep the buttons back in behind. And you can see now I've developed fluidity. Once you start getting the hang of that, then bring the golf ball back in. Repeat the process. Go back through each and every single step along the way so that you create awareness, you build into that awareness, and then you're back checking your positions and then you're allowing the club head and the ball to speak for themselves. So let me walk you through one entire set here so that you can do this on the driving range. So I'm going to have the golf club pretty close by. You can see that I'm going to kind of stick it off to my side. I've got the ball position off of the logo on my chest. I'm going to put my body into an impact position. Hips are open 45. Little short to long swings. Okay, I'm going to now get myself to move into that position with my trail hand coming off. Okay. Now I'm going to start hanging onto it with my trail hand. Keeping my buttons back in behind my belt buckle. Making sure my hips are opening up, my chest is feeling like it's square as my arms are working past. Now I'm gonna start getting myself to go up onto my toe and to finish. And then I'm gonna hit a golf shot. Okay, gang, so there you have it. So remember, take your time, go through the drill, take and be aware of your body. Take your time and go through the processes the correct way. You're gonna get some great results with this. A little short to long drill. Remember, get the body into a good spot, get the arm moving independently, train what you should be feeling, get the trail hand and arm to start acting appropriately with that, and then start ramping the speed up and have some fun with this drill. Remember, if you are brand new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, leave us a like. If you guys have any questions or comments on today's drill, you go out there and practice and you get some success, let us know. Or maybe you're struggling with the drill, let me know what you're struggling with. I'm here to help you. I love helping people play the game of golf. I love watching you guys get better at the game of golf, and I'm always gonna be here to help you. Let's make it a great day.